Widely regarded as the tech-savvy perosn's operating system of choice, Linux is every bit as capable as Windows or macOS, with the open-source OS boasting a host of features and customization options. Among its strongest attributes is the fact it's almost infinitely versatile, lending it qualities that make it popular with engineers, professionals and developers, offering a huge swath of customization options. Its reputation for being extremely secure is also a well-earned attribute. Distros are designed to run enterprise-grade applications and servers, as well as desktop clients, moreover, as it doesn't only cater to traditional desktop PCs. Although it may come across as overwhelming, or highly complex to the average user, modern Linux distros are known to be very user-friendly, relatively speaking. And you definitely won't need to carry the advanced skills of an IT professional to get started. The fact that it's open source, however, means there are so many different versions you can choose from, with many tailored to specific needs, tastes and use cases. But, in keeping with the benefits of open source, they're all completely free to use, to try out or implement at no cost whatsoever. If you just want to trial Linux without fully committing, however, you can create live booting versions of most distros on a CD or USB drive. This will allow you to run a Linux distro on top of the operating system you would normally use, without having to actually install it. This is also an ideal solution if you want to run your favorite Linux distro on a shared computer. There's a huge range of great Linux distros to choose from. Whatever your needs, here are what we think are the best of the bunch. Best desktop distros. Desktop PCs are where Linux first got started, and it's here that it maintains the largest and most vibrant fanbase. If you're looking to make a change from the two main desktop software providers, these are the best all-purpose distros. Elementary OS. Linux has a bit of a reputation for focusing on function over form, and having a basic, unattractive look. While this is undoubtedly true of some distros, some look downright gorgeous. Elementary OS is one such example, combining a macOS-style aesthetic with a chic minimalist approach. The distro comes with a minimum of pre-installed apps, but also features its own storefront for downloading software. Some of these apps are paid for, but many are offered for free, or on a pay-what-you-want system. Download here. Arch Linux. No list of the best Linux distros would be complete without mentioning Arch, widely considered to be the distro of choice for Linux veterans. One of the reasons it's so popular, however, is that it's very complex, requiring a large amount of technical know-how to properly set up and configure. It also doesn't give you much to work with. The Arch packages provide the bare bones of the operating system. There isn't even a graphical desktop environment included with it. You can install any desktop you like over the top of it, along with all sorts of other groovy software and tools, but Arch itself is pared down to the bone. Download here. Ubuntu. Ubuntu is by far the best-known Linux distro, and with good reason. Canonical, its creator, has put a lot of work into making Ubuntu feel as slick and polished as Windows or macOS, and it's one of the best-looking distros out there. Ubuntu is compatible with a huge range of hardware and software, and Canonical makes sure it's kept regularly updated. It's the closest thing Linux has to a mainstream distro, suitable for both personal and business use. Download here. Mint. While Linux Mint is actually based on Ubuntu, there are some differences. For starters, Mint's desktop environment is reminiscent of older Windows versions like Windows 7 and Windows XP, while Ubuntu is more Apple-esque. There's also the issue that while Ubuntu is backed by Canonical, Mint is entirely operated and maintained by the community, through individual volunteers, partner companies and corporate sponsors. This means that support for Mint may be slightly less reliable than with other distros. Download here. Fedora. If you want to be at the absolute bleeding edge of Linux, then Fedora is the distro for you. New technologies are integrated into the software as soon as possible, resulting in some of the most innovative features of any distro. It even boasts Linus Torvalds, creator of the Linux kernel, as a user. The downside of this is that support cycles are short. Fedora versions are only supported for 1 month after the launch of the next but one version, with around 6 months between version launches. The upgrading process is generally painless, however, and doesn't require full reinstallation. Download here. Best enterprise server distros. Desktop PCs might be where Linux is most popular, but its use in business servers is one of the main reasons that open-source software still makes money. These are the best distros to put at the heart of your data center. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or RHEL for short, it is the company's server-based operating system. While it's offered to developers for free, Red Hat makes its money selling support services and subscriptions to companies that want to implement the software in production environments. As Red Hat's primary product, it's kept regularly updated with new features and security patches. With recent releases in particular, the company has been ramping up support for cloud services, containers and automation. Download here. SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. Much like RHEL, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server (SLES) is an open-source Linux distro that's specifically targeting business and data center use cases. As such, integration, compliance and interoperability are high on the list of priorities. SUSE is also investing in software-defined networking and storage, as well as cloud tools like OpenStack. As with Red Hat, the software itself is free, while associated support contracts are charged. Download here. Debian. Rather than corporate-run Linux distributions like RHEL and SLES, Debian is primarily operated by the Linux community. This makes it somewhat more flexible than its business-focused counterparts. While it's also available as a desktop OS, Debian can be used in servers, and the fact that it's supported by the community can often make the support structure more valuable, especially for small businesses or those without large IT needs. Download here. Best lightweight distros. One of the best things about Linux is that it can run on even the oldest and most underpowered of systems. These distros are so light on resources that you could probably get them running on a toaster if you tried hard enough. TinyCore. TinyCore is one of the smallest distros ever, with the recommended package clocking in at just 16 megabytes. It's pretty much what you'd expect, a bare-bones distro that includes the absolute minimum needed to get up and running. The recommended version includes a graphical interface, a window manager, and not much else. By default, TinyCore operates like a thin client. It boots entirely into the system's RAM, rather than installing to the hard drive, and while you can install applications, they only last for one session. If you want to enable persistent storage, however, that's an option. Download here. Puppy Linux. Designed for speed and ease of use. One of the main advantages of Puppy Linux is that it can make older computers feel like brand new machines. Its system requirements are incredibly low, meaning that it will run smoothly and quickly even on ancient hardware. Be warned, though, the nature of Puppy Linux's development means that there are even more different variants and offshoots than other distros, which can get confusing. Thankfully, it's so lightweight that you can just jump to another version if you don't like it. Download here. Lubuntu. Like TinyCore and Puppy Linux, Lubuntu is built to run quickly and easy on less powerful PCs. As the name suggests, it's based on Ubuntu, which means that the user experience is a lot slicker than its rivals, although the trade-off is that it's not quite as efficient. Another benefit is that it's compatible with Ubuntu's software packages, giving users access to a huge repository of applications that can be installed at will. These cover everything from basic office and productivity tools, all the way up to games. Download here. Best security distros. The privacy and security community is one of the few groups within tech that are as rabidly passionate as the open source community. It makes sense, then, that the two areas would go hand in hand. Here are the best distros for hackers, pen testers, and the terminally paranoid. Kali Linux has gained a reputation within the cybersecurity community for being the hacker's OS of choice. Kali comes loaded with more than 300 tools for probing, scanning, exploiting and attacking your targets, including password crackers, keyloggers and Wi-Fi scanners. Decidedly not beginner-friendly, the team behind Kali Linux runs online coaching on how to operate it effectively. It's used by ethical hackers, penetration testers and black hats, and was even referenced in TV's Mr. Robot, a show beloved within the security community for its realism and attention to detail. Download here. Tales, aka the Amnesiac Incognito Live system, is basically private browsing, but for your entire PC. Like Tiny Core, the OS loads into the RAM and doesn't leave any evidence that it's ever been there. The rest of the OS is equally privacy-conscious. All internet traffic goes through the Tor network and all the applications have been carefully chosen to make sure they meet the highest standards of online anonymity. Download here. Tens rather than hackers or privacy buffs. The Tens, or Trusted End Node Security, distro was actually built by the US Air Force. Like Tails, it boots in live mode and leaves no trace of its activities. It's also got the stamp of approval from the NSA. It's featherweight, designed to run only as a live image from read-only media, and with no removable storage. This means that any malware or other infections are scrubbed between sessions, for extra security. Download here.